If we could all stand for the pledge. Ms. Cedar, could you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a moment of silence for the men and women in the armed forces. Thank you. Next public comment. Walter. Ranger. As Walter is getting the names together, in the spirit of the council has asked me, in the spirit as if you agree with the person before you that is commenting on a particular topic, and it's your free will to choose, but if you, in time constraints, could say that you agree with the previous person before you, and maybe it's time saver for the town council. So I'm asking those that are in agreements with the first speaker, if they would be able to do that, that would save the town council some time. Thank you. Walter?
Chris, 121 Great Brook Road.
Thank you.
What's your last name, please?
I'm sorry, Ann Jones, A-N-G-I-O-N-E, 121 Great Brook Road. Fortunately, we had a lot of the neighborhood that was going to come originally, and I just talked to Attorney Grimes here, because we saw an article in the paper on Friday that we believe to be a canceled meeting tonight, so we were able to rally last minute enough neighbors to come down. Anyways, as regarding the Great Brook Road, the discontinuance to the individuals requesting it, it is a cul-de-sac now. We believe that by discontinuing this road, it will no longer become a cul-de-sac. The individuals that are requesting this are not landlocked out of their property because they're coming in from two different ways, from the bottom of the mountain and up through Hickok, and he has also built a driveway to the right of the town road, which is also accessing. So basically he has three different ways to access his property. We've had many circumstances with this individual since 2004. He attempted to have this, he conveyed that he was landlocked out of his property back then. He came down to town hall and he somehow obtained a right, not a permit, to not be landlocked out of his road. At that point, within 24 hours, he came up and he tore the guardrail down and he put a black top skirt into the road. We were eventually able to have that stopped. We proved that he was not landlocked out of his road. He has conveyed that he's a farmer. He's conveyed that he is a mill worker. He has conveyed that he has a farm over in Bethel. We have the documentation. There's no farm in Bethel that he's so-called selling his product to. On this past Sunday, he was at the neighbor's house trying to get petitions signed on, and I want to point something out here, and there's a reason for this. That he was trying to get a petition signed for the continuance of the road to him, and he was false representing himself. We had asked him what he was planting. Simple question. And he starts doing what he's a master of the shell game. He started shuffling around saying this paper, that paper. We just asked him, what are you planting? He had no answers. If we hand this road over to him, I will promise you that he will put a drive, no matter what he says, he's been trying since 2004, he will put a driveway in and he'll follow a straight road right through the mountain. Now there's been, Mike Nam and I just discussed this quickly, that not turning the road over to him would force the town into putting a road in for him. Well, number one, it's a straight cliff. straight down. So if that ends up happening, of course we'll fight that too. But I don't see the town spending the money to put a road in for him when he already has 3 accesses to his property. We believe, it's our opinion, that if he gets this road, which goes between his property, that he will subdivide into land. The farming, the milling, all that, it's not going to happen. He's also conveyed the reason that he wants this road is to keep out quads and motorbikes and everything. We've been there for 20 years, and I have pretty much the whole neighborhood here. We have a petition signed by everybody in the neighborhood. There has been no quads, no motorbikes on his property. So,
Chris, you have a minute, please.
you know, if this was a different circumstance, and this individual, in our opinion, was upright, there may be some negotiations here, but everything in the past that he has, in our opinion, that he has tried to put forth, has been all false misrepresentation, and everything that we can prove on paper is not what he's conveying. So there's a lack of honesty here. We're afraid that this cul-de-sac will decrease our properties if he opens it up, and believe me, that's what he's intending to do, and now it does not become a cul-de-sac anymore. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Leanne Sundara, please, 130 Great Brook.
Good evening. This is a petition signed by the majority of the residents on Great Brook Road opposing this land transfer and advocating that it remain a public access hiking trail. I'd like to have this entered into the record. Additionally, I have a future land use plan indicating that the parcels of land on either side of this right-of-way are resources to preserve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Claudette Sangera, please, 130 Great Brook Road.
After listening attentively at the meeting held on September 24th, 2018, I couldn't help but notice what seemed to me to be a bias from some in favor of one particular property owner. Many people felt the same way. What is upon us is an extremely important issue which concerns many people's investments. We made our investments in good faith that it was a cul-de-sac and would remain so, and that no road with a throughway would be constructed. A contractor now comes along and wants to obtain a parcel of land which he could do whatever he pleases, including extending a driveway with excessive throughway traffic. This is opposite of what a cul-de-sac is about. This would infringe on our rights as homeowners. This is wrong on every level. We as a community feel we should be a deciding factor in this decision, and not one person who has a singular vested interest in it. We feel that the right and fair thing to do is also take a vote from the homeowners of Great Brook Road. I am sure if the roles were reversed, you would feel the same way. Also, for many years, people have used this parcel of land as a nature trail, and it was enjoyed by many and still is. The town should keep this land for it benefits all. The people whose signatures appear on the submitted petition strongly oppose any changes. We stand united for the status quo. Thank you all.
Thank you, Claudette. John, 124 Great Brook Road, please.
Good evening. Last name is Learson, Learson. Couple of points. First off, I'm a little disappointed in the opaqueness of this entire process. Me living on 124 Great Brook Road, kind of found out through the grapevine, talking to people. I saw some notices. Frankly, it was a little confusing and hard to understand. Mr. Dagnall did come talk to me, so he did take the time and talk to me personally. When I did talk to him, he, assured me, no, I have no intention of, putting a road in, putting a throughway in, developing the property. I just want access to one parcel of land. This is in difference to other things I've heard. Frankly, it is unclear to me exactly what is being proposed. As a homeowner there, I have some very clear desires, though. I bought on a cul-de-sac 20 years ago. I want to remain on a cul-de-sac 20 years ago. I raised 2 kids on this cul-de-sac. It was a very safe environment, low traffic. That's why I bought there, and that's why when I sell my house in many years, somebody else will want to buy there. If this does become a private road, I guarantee you the ATVs that were mentioned earlier will start using it. And I can tell you, as somebody who has hiked that road for 20 years, never seen an ATV, if a private road goes in there, somebody will take an ATV on it and injure themselves. I guarantee you, it is a steep, dangerous piece of property. Somebody will hike it, somebody will try to take ATV down it, drive down it, heaven forbid. They will injure themselves. They will require first responders to then come out and help them. It is not a safe parcel of land to put a throughway in. Okay? Last point. I really feel that if we went in good faith here and were very clear about what was going to be done with the property, we would all not be sitting here in opposition. If it was just access to one parcel of land and the throughway was not being sort of slid through the back door here, I think we would not be having this argument. So just the fact that there is some unclarity here is raising my concerns, and I strongly oppose this as it stands right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Greg Monsignor, 103 Great Brook, please.
I agree with the last speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Dora Berlin, 103 Great Brook Road, please.
Good evening. I agree with the last speaker.
Thank you. Chris,
Giacomo.
Giacomo, come on down. Thank you. 118 Great Brook.
118 Great Brook, Chris DiGiacomo. I agree with the previous speakers. One of the big problems is I've heard that letters had gone around to the homeowners on our road from the town saying what this was all about. I've been there, I think 15 years. I never got any letter from the town, with having this under consideration. I think that's first and foremost above everything else. So that's all I have to say, really. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chris. Dottie Wilcox, 117 Great Brook Road.
Hi, I agree with everything that everyone has said. I just would like to add, I've been on that road for 40 years. I'm one of the original homeowners. And there have been many times that people did think this was a through road and they're coming down the street at 70 miles an hour. We would like to keep it as a cul-de-sac. And one thing that I would like to add is this was a town, the town put in this cul-de-sac. It was a formal cul-de-sac. It had a big guardrail. It was taken down. They're trying to make a road through it. There's nothing but wire there. If anybody comes down that street now, there's going to be a very severe accident. And it's very steep. We looked at that property that he owns. There were about 15 acres we looked at, and at the time, the only access was from Heacock Crossbrook Road. Very steep, would have been at least a 300-foot driveway. So I can understand he would not want to use that, and if he gets approval for a subdivision, he's going to want to come in from a different angle, because it's very steep to come up from Crossbrook Road. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Dottie. Greg McClure, 109 Great Brook Road.
Thank you. I am Gregory McClure from 109 Great Brook Road. I have an aspect about the situation that nobody really has mentioned yet, but it's occurred to me because I've lived there 40 years, and I've seen a number of things happen that are in the way of accidents and loss of access on the top of the road around Great Brook and what do they call Parkwood, so on those places. This becomes a trap, effectively, in some cases. You have cases where you lose power, your area is blocked, phone poles come down, trees come down, you can't get out. So you're trapped essentially where you are in Great Brook Road, and you can't get uphill, so you have to go downhill. So the fact that the city still has access property to go straight downhill, you can get out. You can save your life if you get in a situation where there's a threat. And resources, for example, in the winter, have become difficult because of trees down, ice, phone poles down. So that's the way it should stay too, because it's a threat if you don't have one escape route, even if it's on foot. I've been up and down it by foot. It's accessible by foot. You can get out. So in emergency conditions, you need that. Should things get really bad on the top of the hill, which it can do, and I've seen it happen. So I would like to support the notion of leaving it unimproved just as it is. It's an escape route in case there's an emergency situation. Otherwise, there's a threat to all the residents of Great Brook Road. If the city turns it over to somebody's private property, this is presumably not accessible for citizens to make their way down the hill in the case of emergencies or difficult situations in winter, or other difficult things that can occur occasionally, and loss of power is one of them in the winter. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Margaret McClure, 109 Great Brook Road, please.
Good evening. I'm Margaret McClure. I agree with our neighbors that the stated parcel of land be left intact as it is. In other words, the status quo. Thank you.
Thank you. Attorney Stankiewicz, 54 Bridge Street, Milford.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jeff Sinkwitz. I'm an attorney in town at 54 Bridge Street. Dan Dagnalt, who's one of the petitioners who had asked that this road be discontinued and had presented that petition through normal channels, asked me to come tonight because he felt that at the last meeting there was a lot of misunderstanding and perhaps misinformation being provided. The area of Great Brook Road, and this is a map that was prepared by for the town. To the east, I believe it's Upper Reservoir Road. If you're coming from town, you turn left onto Great Brook Road, and you pass by all these folks' residences. It's fairly developed. I would say maybe 2/3 of a mile, maybe a mile. And then there's a cul-de-sac. And as I went by there to look things over today, and it's a quiet road. I did an auction there a few weeks ago, and hardly anyone went by on a Saturday morning. But as I went there today, the road, the paved road, and the cul-de-sac is currently being rebuilt by the town. And this application or this petition has nothing to do with that. The road going past all of the houses of the people who spoke to you today on Great Road, that's got nothing to do with this petition for discontinuance. The proposal to discontinue is from the area to the west of the cul-de-sac. And on this drawing, this is the cul-de-sac. And I gather it's being reconfigured by the town. And then straight downhill for about 1,200 feet to a point here. So from the cul-de-sac to here, and that's about 1,250 feet. This is unused and unimproved. It's been unused and unimproved since I was the town attorney in the late 70s. And I went down there to drop my baby off at Miss Wilcox's house, and it was a mess back then. It was impassable back then. It's impassable now. Mike Zarba described it in the last meeting minutes as an unimproved, impassable, and having a steep grade. It does not serve the public convenience and necessity as a highway in any way, shape, or form, and it hasn't served the public convenience and necessity for decades, at least 40 or 50 years, probably 80 or 90. Generally speaking, if somebody wanted to develop the land that is on either side of this one, for Mr. Dagnall and Mr. Dawson's property, they would have the right to come to the town and demand that the road be improved. If you recall the Gonthier litigation from I don't know when that was, the early 90s, the developer forced the town to build the road out to serve his development. The town was prohibited from denying his subdivision because it failed to maintain the road. That's what could happen here. what the petition serves to do is to prevent that from happening. Instead of somebody coming in with a subdivision and making a through road all the way down to I guess it's Crossbrook Heacock Road, this road the town would have no further responsibility for it. In theory, based upon Connecticut common law, the property owners on either side own to the center line. There's just a public easement through there. So when you discontinue the road, you discontinue the public easement. So the benefit to the town, and really the benefit to the neighbors, I believe, if they look at it a little differently.
Guys, excuse me. No more comments on the back. We can hear up here perfectly.
The benefit to the town and the benefit to the neighbors, I believe, is that it won't become a through road. Several of the people have said they don't want it to be a through road. By discontinuing it, you make it much more difficult to develop as a subdivision. It's got plenty of difficulties as it is because it's steep land. I think in the on the north side, it was there was a subdivision there that was approved in about 1989, and at that time there was actually frontage on this section of the road, the upper section, and they were describing it as having an 18% grade, and that's when they put the cul-de-sac in. So the benefit to the town is that they cannot be compelled to maintain the road by a developer. It is not required to spend public money on this steep, difficult highway, or not a highway really, just a goat trail, so to speak, or walkway, path.
Attorney Stankiewicz, you have a minute, sir.
And I guess the final point is, by the discontinuance, I don't believe the residents, despite their statements, are at risk of suffering any harm whatsoever. They will still have the access and amenities that they have today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Robert Selling, 126 Great Brook Road, please.
I would just like to reiterate what my neighbors have said. I moved there 15 years ago, and I built the house and had the forest clear and everything. It's been quiet for 15 years. I'd like it to remain that way. Even though some of this information does get a little confusing, I would just like to have it stay the way it is. Very nice. It's been quiet. I'd like to keep it like that.
Thank you, sir. 140 Great Brook Road, Dan, please.
Hi, I'm Dan Dagnall, and my neighbor John Dawdlin. We requested that the town discontinue this section of Great Brook Road because it's between our properties and nobody else's properties. And our concerns are privacy and safety, both for us and for the town. We're not developers, and we have no intention of ever making a through road here. I have driveway access to my property at the top, at the cul-de-sac that the town's now improving and rebuilding. So there'd be nothing ever to change with the cul-de-sac as to, in the future, any more than what it is right now. If I was a developer, I would be asking the town to improve this road and maintain it. I'm not a developer. So I want to keep it I would like to see it be private and the town discontinue it. The town would save money because there wouldn't be any future obligation to improve the road. And I think now's the time that you have a chance to take this off the books, so to speak, and discontinue the road. And again, I would never make a through road. That I want to see the cul-de-sac stay the same, and I would just like to enjoy the privacy of my property without that road going down through the center of it. As I've been told by an engineer, he said that you're kind of crazy giving up that road frontage because your land is steep, and that could give you more lots if you wanted to develop your land. I don't want to develop my land, and I don't care about how many lots I get. So I just want the road to go away and be able to farm my land and have it be private and safer that way. As everyone else has described, it's a steep, washed-out roadbed. And in the past, there have been people that have gone down there on their motorbikes and quads, and I had to tow a guy out that
his quad flipped over and went down into the ravine, and oil was coming out of it, and I had to rig up a way to pull him out of there and get off of my property, because that right-of-way through there is very, very difficult to navigate. Again, I never would want to see a connection between those two roads. I never want to see it be a shortcut, and I never would, not while I own it. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. 3 Great Brook Road, help me out here. 3 Great Brook Road.
John Dodlin.
Thank you.
My name is John Dodlin, 3 Great Brook Road. I agree with Dan, my neighbor. Just a couple of things. I believe Dan is sincere when he says that he doesn't want any development taking place. I had a chance, I own 7 acres next to him. I had an opportunity to take a free split when I bought my property to build another house on my property, and I chose not to. I gave up that right for the free split because of the privacy that I wanted, as opposed to living in the middle of a subdivision. I didn't want a house in front of me. And I believe Dan feels the same way, and so I agree with him, and I would like to see the road discontinued. For safety reasons, people wander down there, and then all of a sudden they don't know where they're at, because it's not much of a defined trail. And then the first thing you know, they're on my property, or on his property, and they could create a problem for us down the road if somebody gets hurt, so I agree with him.
Thank you, sir. Mike Sinello, please.
I have to do this.
I'm sorry.
I'm not prepared to have to do it.
Okay. The end of the list, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Walter. Next, I'd like to move on to Mayor's remarks. First of all, thank everybody for coming tonight, and thank you for those that are watching us on the live stream. First, tonight, I'd like to read a letter on behalf of Weantenog. On behalf of the town of New Milford, I'd like to congratulate Weantenog on its improvements to its Mount Tom Preserve in New Milford. The work undertaken by Weantenog and supported by a generous grant has increased the safety, accessibility, and aesthetics of this public nature area and the trails. I'm especially happy to work with the experience of the New Milford Youth Agency. The agency does a wonderful job providing New Milford youth with hands-on work supporting many facets of the town. The agency's long partnership with Weantenog has been especially meaningful to the students, and some have gone on to careers in the environmental field and land conservation. And I know that they have enjoyed constructing the bridges, getting some wonderful recognition in the video, and building the kiosk. The agency students enjoy these projects, which have an immediate positive impact on the community. So thank you to Weantenog, and thank you to our youth agency. Also, Town Attorney Matt Grimes is going to hold 2 town informational sessions concerning the proposed charter revisions. The proposed revisions will be presented, followed by a Q&A. The first one is October 17th, 7 p.m., which is a Wednesday. That's at the Pettibone Cafeteria. 7 p.m. Wednesday, October 24th, at the E. Paul Martin Room. So for those that can attend, to learn more about the charter revisions that are going to be proposed, Attorney Grimes will be holding those sessions.
Is the 24th, 7 p.m. also, Mayor?
Yes, ma'am. 24th is at 7 p.m. as well. Next, for those that are interested, this Saturday we're having our River Fest, our first inaugural River Fest that will be held down at Youngsfield Road. That will be celebrating our river and our downtown and the combination, which makes a wonderful ambiance for us. There's going to be food trucks. There's going to be live entertainment, a beer garden and wine garden. There'll be crafts. There'll be all sorts of entertainment, which we'd love for you to come down and see our wonderful riverfront and partake of our events. Also, you can come and look at our wonderful downtown, our merchants that are down there, and up on Bank and Railroad in Maine as well, and partake from there too, because it's all together. It's all one and the same. Also like to congratulate our New Milford Bulls cheerleaders for winning states. Outstanding job. Some of the teams will be moving on to regional play, so congratulations to the New Milford Bulls cheerleaders. Outstanding job. Next, I'd like to talk a little bit about our road construction as we continue on, as we're moving on within our program. So Long Mountain is continue working, doing the reclaim. We finished the first phase, which is about 3,000 square feet, putting down the subbase, moving on to phase 2, which will continue to reclaim, putting down a subbase, and as we're moving forward, we're going to also pave. So as we're moving from phase to phase, we're going to pave that way. Some of you have seen road construction on Great Brook. Some of you have seen road construction on some of our other projects. Another one is the roundabout. That's pretty much getting buttoned up. For those that have taken the roundabout, you've seen where now they finished the circle itself. We've paved from Route 7 to the roundabout, and from roundabout to the railroad crossing. Good news, we've been talking to Housatonic Railroad, and we're looking to do 2 railroad crossings this year. The first one is going to be Pickett District. The second one is going to be Still River. So as we all know, some of us that travel Pickett District, we know that that can be an obstruction. So we're working with our Housatonic Railroad, who's been very amicable in getting those done, hopefully in November. I'll be able to finalize that and send that out via Facebook once we get that done, but that's tentatively what we're looking to do. As far as Squire Hill, as our weather has pushed back some of our projects, we're looking to get some of the drainage done on Squire Hill. Some of the tree work has been done before. We all realize on the top part of Squire Hill, it looks like a moon landing there. So we're going to, one way or another, mitigate that problem so that our residents can travel that road safely, especially in the wintertime, as we work on getting that road completely reclamated as we're doing Long Mountain Road. Some of our band roads that we're doing, which is Sega, that's going to be started. Blue Bonnet's already started. They're reclaiming. Paving's going to be looking to do next week. We're continuing on our crack seal program that started on the 1st. So we're continuing to crack seal many of our roads, and that's a preventive maintenance thing. As we continue to work on the roads that are very poor in our system, we want to keep the ones that are semi-okay and okay. We're trying to do maintenance on them to keep them where they are so that when we do go to those particular projects, they're not as costly as the full reconstructions are as we have today. Also, the bids have gone out on our oil tanks. So the Board of Ed is working on the Lillis oil tank. They're working on the Hill and Plain oil tank that we'll talk about a little later tonight. And they're also working on the Scatticoke. As the town, we're looking at the police department and we're looking at town hall. All to be done before winter time so that we can make sure that we stay within compliance. Also, we continue to work with our Board of Ed partners when it comes to the high school roof. That's being redone as I talked at our last town council meeting. That work is getting done as we speak. We're also working with the Board of Ed partners to come up with our plan for the other additional roofs that are going to need to be done within our infrastructure. That is going to be Hill and Plain, Scatticoke, and Northville. So we're working with them to find out which one we're going to do in order, the cost, and how we're going to do that financially. I'll be bringing that back to the town council, either the next meeting or the meeting after, with a plan in place so that you can look at it, opine on it, and we can move forward. These are time-sensitive issues. The more you, the town council, is involved, and the public, the better. Also, as we move forward, we're looking at additional improvements to our downtown. Some of our stuff we've already done, some beautification. We're also looking to complete our first 1 mile loop, which is an exciting thing to bring the downtown and the riverfront together. And it also benefits us in numerous ways. One, health benefits. People like myself, we can walk. Good for us. Also brings tourism dollars to our downtown, as we're going to be not only involving the loop, but also bringing the downtown businesses together, running promotions through the loop, so that the businesses have an opportunity to partake in this, as well as the tourist dollars, bringing dollars into town, bringing investment into town. I'd also like to thank the new businesses that have come into town that have decided to invest in our wonderful town. I'd like to thank you for that. I'd like to thank our businesses that are already here and are staying here and retained here, thank you for investing in New Milford. We're a great town. As I say, we're the best town in the country, I think. So I want to thank everyone. And we're going to continue to move forward. We're going to continue to streamline our process to make it easier to have a business in New Milford, get your applications here, but we're also going to keep the rural charm and character of our town. We're not going to lose the character, but we're definitely going to grow our commercial grand list. So with that, what I'd like to do is end our mayor's remarks and start with our consent agenda. And for those that don't understand the consent agenda, this is what we brought forward. Councilman Mullen had recommended that we do this as kind of a time saver. So what the consent agenda does is there are certain items that are being voted on all in once, item A through D, that if any councilman does not have a concern with it, I'd entertain a motion, Ms. Francis, for this, and we approve A through D. As we've talked about before with rules and procedures, if in fact the council person decides that they want this off and we can discuss it, then we can do so.
Motion to approve all items for A, B, C, and D.
Second.
Do we have any discussion?
So sorry, it'll be quick.
Yes.
I do have a correction to the prior minutes. It's small, but it's important. So,
You have to pull it off the consent.
okay, so can we pull that one, the prior minutes off the consent agenda?
Yes.
I'm good to go.
So we need to change B,
So
C, and D.
Motion is for B, C, and D.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Go back to prior minutes.
Move to accept the prior minutes of the regular town council meeting of September 24th, 2018.
Second.
Discussion, Ms. Eden.
Page 2, paragraph 9, which starts Jim pays from Dakota Partners. It's a small item, but I think it's important. He also stated, and you can find it on the videotape, that the Dakota Partners did not ask for a tax abatement on Barton House.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like that added. That's it.
Any discussion with the addition of Ms. Eden's connotations to the minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And we'll make sure those are added into the minutes.
Item 5, move to the following appointments and reappointments of boards and commissions and committees. Zoning Board of Appeals, Colin Kogel, October 9th, 2018 to 11/30/2021. Commission on the Arts, Linda McMillan, filling a vacancy, October 9th, 2018, November 30, 2018. The Road Advisory Committee 2, members John Whitman, Joseph Goodell, Robert Barone, John Oakes, Geraldine Lukowitz, and Thomas D. Altermat, all for the term of October 9, 2018 through April 9, 2019.
Second.
And before we vote concerning on the Road Advisory Committee 2, so I'd just like to make note for the council. I'd like to make this an actual permanent committee, but I don't want the committee to stop its current work now, as we're obviously doing our road construction projects. To do the actual permanent committee, we need to do an ordinance. We need to bring that back, which I will do to the town council. But to continue on the good work that the road advisory is doing now without any kind of separation, we're just going to do a road committee 2 because they've already gone through their year. And then I will bring back to the town council this as a permanent committee. It will be the same people with the vacancy. I just want to let you know this way it doesn't prevent us from continuing your good work.
I have one question. You have it here as a vacancy. Normally, we do not appoint a vacancy.
So to continue the committee itself, we have to have
So
the
you have
same
the
amount
number
of
of
number,
people?
correct.
As long as the council's okay with that.
Any other discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
And item 6, road closures. Move to close per request from Harrybrook Park, Lanesville Road, from the opening of Harrybrook Park to Lanesville Firehouse on Saturday, November 24th, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. for the Run Santa Run. Traffic Authority approved the request at their September 25th, 2018 meeting.
Second. Shannon, where are you?
As we can see within our packets, we have the actual road closure form, and we have Mr. Buckby here. Do we have any questions concerning the road closure?
How long will
Mike?
it go for?
It should be closed from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Usually, about 2 hours is good for the 5K to be people off the roads anyway. If the walkers start, they can be off.
And if someone that lives on the road needs to escape, they can, or?
We'll have, we always have volunteers up and down the road. They can communicate. We have full communication between them. We can let a car go through down the middle. But we try to be proactive. We try to keep people to the sides as much as possible.
And you'll put up signs letting them know that they're...
What we've done before in previous years is go around door to door and let them know that we're going to be closing the road down for the day.
And Mr. Buckley, this is the same hours that you've done time and again with Run Santa Run?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, same thing. We usually start around 9 o'clock with our registration, 8:30, 9 o'clock with our registration. We have Kids Fun Run prior to that. The Kids Fun Run is free. We offer we ask them to bring a toy. If they would, all that goes to Toys for Tots. And then all the money raised for this gets split between Harrybrook Park and the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Buckley?
Just a little note, just to say, if people would like to, anyone would like to join us to run, it doesn't have to be just you. You can put some antlers on a horse and join us as well. One of the elves told me that would be a good thing for you. So, and
Really, Santa.
come on! You want to have the toe-to-toe? Thank you, the town council. Appreciate the time. Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Item 7, public hearing discussion regarding a public hearing pursuant to the repeal of Section 7-58 of New Milford Code of Ordinances as proposed by the Recycling Center Subcommittee as it pertains to the setting the time, date, place of 6:45 p.m. on October 22nd, 2018 in E. Paul Martin Room, New Milford Town Hall.
So,
This is only discussion. I didn't make a motion.
so just very quickly, just for the town council's information, it's a public hearing. It's called by the mayor, so I will be calling a public hearing. I just wanted to notify the council that we will be doing so, and it will be on 6:45, October 22nd, 2018, in the E. Paul Martin Room, 10 Main Street, New Milford, Connecticut. And it's concerning what we've talked about before, which was the waste management repeal of -758. So I just wanted to let the town council be aware that we will be having a public hearing concerning that. Next. No, there's no need to vote. It's just to let people know of the public hearing we're going to have.
Item 8A, 12 Scoville Street. Discussion and possible action regarding the consideration of the proposed temporary access easement.
Attorney Grimes?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the Town Council, Matt Grimes, Town Attorney for the record. There is a proposed easement from Eversource, essentially so that they can do a work on the Scoville Street access way in the near future. It was very similar to the one the council granted the better part of a year and a half ago. Attorney DeBell and I, in looking this over, though, it really, since our charter and the statutes don't discriminate between temporary easement and permanent easement, easement does need to go before a town meeting. So we do have a town meeting resolution that will consider this. So as I said, it's coming up with the next item on the agenda, and we will look for a resolution to call a town meeting for October 22nd to consider this temporary easement. It's nothing different than the one that they had previously, just doing it correct procedure this time.
And Attorney Grimes, the one previous to this, did that go to a town meeting?
It did not.
So we want to comply with our charter, and this is why we're doing this as a town meeting.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, so we don't take any motion action on that to move forward?
Right.
What's on your agenda, I believe, is a special town meeting call with 2 items on it, not just one. I think it's item C there in front of you.
So that's why we're going to go to B next.
Okay.
We'll get to that. Item 8B, Great Brook Road, tabled from our September 24th, 2018 Town Council meeting. Move to discuss regarding the considering the proposal for a partial discontinuance of Great Brook Road. Do you want me to read the note? There's 3 bullet points in a note. So council,
Please, waive it. Or do you want to read it?
I'm asking if somebody wants to waive it.
Read it.
All right,
Okay.
so we're going to read it. Note, all property owners were notified in letters dated August 22nd, 2018. None were returned as undelivered. Signs were posted conspicuously at the required locations informing the public as of September 24th, 2018 Town Council meeting. Town Council approved 824 referral to Planning Commission on August 13th, 2018. Planning Commission met on September 6, 2018, and unanimously approved the following motion, quote, to recommend in favor of the 824 referral for the discontinuance of a portion of Great Brook Road as set forth in the attached legal description. The reason for the discontinuance is that it will eliminate the potential future obligation of the town to construct and maintain this section of the road, end quote. That's the motion.
So I also, in your packets, I outlined the 2 options that the council has at this point under Connecticut General Statute 13A-49. You can, if you approve the application, it's just basically sending it to a town meeting the way you would an appropriation or a budget item, and everybody, all electors and taxpayers will have the right to vote at that town meeting, and they can approve or turn down the application. I'm sorry, Katie?
Attorney Grimes, could I just ask you to repeat, and we've heard you say this before, but there's a lot of people here who have concern about this item. Could you just repeat what you said about what that means? Because there's a lot of verbiage here. Just what you just said, could you just say it again a little slower?
Okay, so there's an the town council is voting on whether to approve or disapprove the application. Approval of the application does not mean that the discontinuance is approved, because that approval must happen at a special town meeting where all the electors in New Milford and any property taxpayers in New Milford will have the opportunity to vote. Petitioner will have an opportunity to present what he or she chooses to do, and then the moderator will call for a vote up or down on the application. So the council approving it is not saying we want or don't want the discontinuance. We are approving it to go to town meeting. Of course, the council can also turn down the application. If it does, it should probably, it's very similar to the way a land use commission, such as a zoning commission or an inland wetlands commission, would turn down an application. When they turn down an application, they need to have reasons for it, as anyone who's been to a land use commission knows. They can't just say deny it because we don't think it's a good thing for New Milford or we don't want it here. They need to have a basis for denying it. So if the council is going to deny it, that does stop the application here, but it needs to state the reasons for doing so, and the statute goes through that. If the council is to turn it down and not allow it to go to town meeting, of course, the petitioner has one of 2 options. They can petition to override the council at a town meeting, or they can, this is a statute with also administrative relief, as we've known. They can take the petition to Superior Court, and the Superior Court would be reviewing the application de novo, which means anew, seeing it fresh for the first time. Did I explain that clearly? Thanks.
Thank you.
Does the council have any questions? Attorney Grimes, can you give us a brief synopsis for some of the members of the audience that haven't been here before as to how we got where we were today?
Sure.
Why we had the meeting, why we had the call for this particular Great Brook Road to be put on the agenda, as of why now, and how this all transpired.
So in August of 2017, so better part of 13, 14 months ago, the town of New Milford did receive a valid petition for the partial discontinuance of Great Brook Road. For whatever reason, it got lost in the shuffle, for lack of a better term. Mayor's office and myself were made aware of it sometime end of June, beginning of July, and as you know, we only had 1 council meeting in July and 1 town council meeting in August. The town needed to take an affirmative step on the application within 1 calendar year. If we did not, then there would be no town meeting, there would be no town council action. The petitioner could take the petition directly to the Superior Court, and again, a Superior Court judge would review it de novo. There would be no discussion about it, there'd be no public participation. It'd be in the hands of one Superior Court judge at that point. So learning this, we put it on the town council agenda for the one meeting in July. Town council began the process to act on the application. The statute requires only one piece of confusion the last time, only the property owners that abut the actual discontinuance to be notified. So I believe there's only 3 parcels that directly abut this property, so those property owners were notified. The sign that was posted was the one done in accordance with general statutes. Our town engineer, Dan Stanton, had the survey done by Chuck Farnsworth with all of the meets and bounds, which is required by the statute. That was put on file in the town clerk's office as well as presented to the town council members. And the sign, as it required to do, had to notify when the selectmen, and Milford, the functional equivalent of the town council, would be acting on the application. The intention was for that to happen on September 24th, but as Dr. Mullins said, I think some council members wanted some more time to think about it, so it was postponed to tonight. So, as I said, the question for the council tonight is approve the application. If it does, it goes to it does not mean approval in the sense of be all end all. It's going forward to a town meeting. As I said, all electors and taxpayers can vote. If it turns down, the petitioner has 2 options to go: either overrule the town council at town meeting or go to Superior Court.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Attorney Grimes? Councilman Bear.
No, just a question for clarification. It's my understanding if we discontinue this and it goes to the property owner, and if he wanted to develop this land, it would be very, very difficult because there would be no access to a public road. Would have to develop a common driveway or a common exit point for people that the houses are there in order to get to a public road. Is that my understanding?
That is a correct understanding. Right now, the parcels surrounding the area do have access to what's legally a public highway, as I'm sure Ms. Francis and Mr. Nahom could tell you for their planning commission days. It's much easier to subdivide a parcel of land when there is access to a public highway than when there is not.
So the whole process would be very, very difficult then?
Certainly be more cumbersome than it is today.
Okay.
Mr. Nahom?
According to what Jeff said and what you're saying, if we deny the application, doesn't go any forward, the owners on that land can force the town to put in a road?
No. What I said, if the council does not go forward with calling a town meeting, the petitioner or anybody could petition to override the council at a town meeting. They would need to get a petition approved by the town clerk and the requisite number of signatures by charter to do that, or the statute provides the petitioner with a remedy via the Superior Court.
But if it goes to the town meeting and the town and it gets voted down at the town meeting, does he have that same recourse or no?
No.
So the safest thing for the town, so it doesn't go beyond this, is to actually push it to a town meeting and then let the people decide.
What's easy, what's hard. I mean, that is, if it goes to the town meeting is the be all end all. It's as I think Councilman Bear says, the vox populi.
The vox populi, the voice of the people.
But then, so if it goes to town meeting and the town votes to keep it as a town road, then the property owner could come to the town and say, all right, it's an approved town road, it's an unapproved town road, I want you to improve it to make it an actual access way.
They certainly have the right to make that case. How it would be acted
Can we
upon.
stop them from, since it is already...
Well, we're not a land use commission here. You're the extension of the legislative body. That's really a question, as you know, for the appropriate land use commission, whether that be planning, zoning, and wetlands, ZBA, what have you.
But if the opposite, the town votes to discontinue it, then that could not become it.
Say again, I'm sorry?
I'm just going through my head. If it goes to the town meeting and then voted to discontinue the town road, then the chances of that cul-de-sac going away are pretty small. They're zero, I guess.
I think it would definitely require more application processes than it requires today, as I explained to Mr. Bear, with the access to the public highway that it has today.
That's why I'm confused that the town, the people on that road are afraid of losing the cul-de-sac. It seems like the chances of losing the cul-de-sac are greater if it stays as an unimproved road as opposed to taken away. That's my interpretation of it.
Dr. Moore?
So, Matt, just to be clear, right now there's a road there.
Correct.
If the people decided they wanted to subdivide with the road there, then the town would have to improve it, yes or no?
The town would have to agree, what it would depend really on it depends on what you define as improvement, it depends on what the terms and conditions are of that. I mean, of course, when an application comes before a land use commission to subdivide, they have three options. They can approve it, they can turn it down, or they can approve it with stipulations. And that's exactly the kind of property that a planning commission or a zoning commission would probably put stipulations on, given the difficulty of it. So,
And what Mike Darba had mentioned, that discontinued road would make it even harder for a subdivision to come in.
as I said, it would be a more cumbersome process because you would no longer have access to the public highway. Right now, I mean, I would have to look at the map directly. I mean, right now you could probably put, 4, 5, 6 single-family homes on there because it's got access to a public highway right now. It'd be much more difficult to do that if the road was discontinued.
That's what I'm so unclear about is obviously the people are passionate where they live there. This makes it more difficult to subdivide if you discontinue the road.
Take away the access to public highway,
Right.
the subdivision process.
So that's what the
becomes more
confusion
difficult.
that I have is that it would make it more cost for a builder to come in, subdivide with a discontinued road and have to build his own road as opposed to telling the town, I'm building, now you need to fix it.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other?
Common highway.
Question, what's the parcel size of both these pieces of property that would be affected at the end, both these gentlemen's property?
Maybe in the memo prepared by Mr.
1.7
Farnsworth or
and one is 30.
I think it's about 35,
Jeff, do you know?
isn't it? 35, like 20 and 15?
He's on both
There's almost
sides.
40 acres between both of us.
There you go.
And I don't see any elevations on any of this stuff.
Do you have the memo from Mr. Farnsworth?
Yeah, but I just don't see it, like a topo. I see
It
pictures.
might have been distributed.
Yeah, I don't see a topo though, just to see it. This does not back up to any place where we could have any sort of high concentrated development, correct? Even with the steepness? Because I mean, I've seen 35-acre parcels get 5 acres of condominiums on it, like was opposed to a lot of properties in the past years, and that's my concern. My concern there is, and I'm
You
not.
can't say what could
Right,
happen.
right, but
We know that.
I know we can't say what could happen, but what are you guys farming there? Is that scaring anybody? I mean, with the proliferation of some of the things that are going to become legal shortly, where people are a little nervous, maybe.
I have a very good garden and I do wood melon. Gourds and beans.
Well, it is, listen, this is the people's house, and it's going to go to the people, if everybody agrees, right?
Well, let's vote.
So what
Any
I'm
other-
going to say, Tom, go to the people, go
Could
to
you
the people.
Any
Did you guys
other?
read the motion yet, or?
Any other discussion? Can we entertain a motion?
Motion is C, correct?
Yep.
Right,
We just did B.
right, we just discussed. 8C, move to call a special town meeting for 6:15 on October 22nd, 2018, E. Paul Martin Room, New Milford Town Hall. C1 at 6:15 will take us back to consider a vote on the resolution for the temporary access easement with respect to 12 Scoville Street as set forth in the map on file 1555 line upgrade project, and authorize the mayor to execute said temporary access easement pursuant to section 503D of the town charter. C2 is to consider and vote upon at said special town meeting. We'll make that for 6:30.
It's one town meeting.
One at 6:15?
One town meeting,
Okay.
3 items.
Consider and vote on the proposed partial discontinuance of Great Brick Road as approved by the town council and set forth in the related documents prepared by the town engineer pursuant to Connecticut General Statute, section 13A-49.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
So everybody understands.
Next is its mayor's office, discussion and possible action regarding town council rules and procedures as they pertain to the presentation materials. So as you have in your packet, you have an opinion from town attorney, basically talking about the rules and procedures. The council has a purview where we have rule number 3 in our rules and procedures, which talks about at least 5 days prior to the said meeting that we can have enclosures and exhibits will be ready for pickup by members of the town council no later than 4 p.m. on Wednesday before the meeting. The rule is the agenda, so we're going to make sure that we have those items for you to review. Also, just so everybody understands, there is the opportunity within our rules and procedures on Fridays to, if we need to add to the agenda and do that forthwith. But as we're letting all of our council people, department heads know that the presentation decks and information should be given to Diane in our office so that we can get them to our town council so that you have time to review them before our meeting. Does anybody have any question? We don't need to amend any of our rules and procedures because it's within our...
If you determine the current rules are adequate for what the request is, that's fine. If you determine that it's too vague, I also gave you an option, what you might add to the rules and procedures for that.
Dr. Mullen?
Just a question. If we have somebody, if an ad hoc committee, for example, is coming to do a presentation, and they haven't turned in their written report by Friday, do we then take it off the agenda for
Yes,
Monday?
sir. It's pushed to the next meeting.
By Friday or by Wednesday? So the request I actually made was Wednesday before,
Okay.
to stop the weekend scurrying around. Maybe it's just me that takes a long time to figure out the details behind and to call, if I have to, people and get clarification so that these meetings don't take forever.
So
I think it would have a
your
little bit-
request is by Wednesday?
My request is by Wednesday.
I see. So is that what it is? That has to be in by Wednesday, the written
For
report?
presentations, correct. Yes, sir.
Or it's not going to be on the agenda for Monday?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Just as an example, the young lady who was here from HVA last meeting, she came with a map. A map. We didn't have copies of it, as I recall. She just had a large D-size map. Would we consider that having to be taken off the agenda? If she, being from whatever part of the state she was in, she showed up to make her presentation and waited through hours of our processes and then had a map,
I'm gonna say yes, because it's not like between Wednesday and Monday, she had to produce that
No,
map.
somebody did, right.
Right?
I just want to,
So,
okay.
you know, I think a lot of the discussion items that have taken half an hour, and even longer, if we had had all the materials ahead of time, the chance to look at them, kind of ask our
Right.
questions, call around, these meetings would go a lot quicker. We wouldn't be here till 11 o'clock at night.
Yes, doing our homework before meetings definitely makes it go faster. And that then would also apply to council members who request something to be added to the agenda. If it requires backup, that would also have to be made ready to your office on Wednesday, correct?
Correct.
Okay, everybody get that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Works for me.
And I just remind council members that it takes a 2/3 vote to add something to a regular meeting agenda, as well as 2/3 vote to suspend your rules.
Okay. Thank you. Next is item B and item C. I'd like to make a motion to table those as we're getting additional information for the council to review concerning these two positions. It'll be on our next town council agenda.
So we
Can you make a motion
yes.
to suspend?
I didn't really make it, no, I'll make it clear now. Move to act regarding the town council rules and procedures as they pertain to reports and presentation materials, per,
we already did A.
yeah?
It's B and
We
C.
didn't
We're
vote on
making a
it, though.
motion to table.
We didn't vote on it. That's why I'm reading it. We just talked about it.
So the rules and procedures, what do you want to change?
Matt said if we feel that they're too ambiguous, that we could include clarification that the agendas and supplemental materials would also need to be included 5 days prior, not just the agenda.
The council, as a body, is the final arbiter over its own rules and procedures as to what they mean and how strong or vague or weak or specific they are. My opinion in reviewing it is that your current Rule 3 is specific enough to do what you suggest, but if you as a body feel that it's not, as I said, I provided another option that you might consider adding, that's all. But my opinion is that your rule is strong enough as it is.
Well, I would suggest, let's see how it goes with the rule the way it is, and if it is not acceptable, if it's not followed, then we have to.
Good.
We don't change it.
I can live with that.
Yeah, great. Sure.
That's agreeable.
Thank you.
There's no action, it stays the same.
No, because we're leaving our Rule 3 as it exists now. And B and C are tabled.
Make a motion to table B and C, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next, the Board of Education.
Move to approve the release of $92,000 from the capital reserve account for the Hill and Plain School oil tank project as per the original letter dated September 20, 2018 from the Board of Ed Chairperson David Lawson.
Second.
So this is to do, just in summary, this is to do the oil tank. The Board of Ed is actually doing this one for Hill and Plain School. And this was the $92,000 for the original amount taken out of capital reserve for the oil tank. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then I would like to take the council's approval if we could do C, because that actually dovetails into A, and then do B last, if that's okay with the council.
Item 10C, move to approve the release of $70,000 from the capital reserve account for unanticipated additional costs associated with the oil tank project at Hill and Plain School, as per the letter dated October 4th, 2018 from the Board of Ed Chairperson David Lawson.
And I'd like to give an update to the council. I spoke with Wendy Fallenbach from the Board of Education and Dr. Tracy, the superintendent. When they're already beginning the process of putting the oil tank in. When they did open the ground, there was no as-built there. So first thing they saw was a transformer on top of the oil tank, which, as we all know, that's a costly thing to get around the transformer. Also, when they were going in, they found a propane tank, which they're going to have to take out. Thus, the additional cost for this project. So that's why they're asking for an additional $70,000.
When were they put in?
Dr. Mullen?
Can I just ask a hypothetical question? When work is done on schools, are there any inspectors?
There are on these projects now.
There are now.
So nobody was inspecting these 20, 30 years ago when they were done? It's a hypothetical.
Correct.
I'm not looking for an answer because I know
Some of the stuff built 30, 40 years ago didn't have inspections.
And I'd like to thank, I would like to thank the Board of Ed and the superintendent because they're stressing, we're going to get as-bills. Yeah. So that we don't run into this problem again.
Right.
Absolutely.
As-bills.
You remember
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Item B, 10B, move to designate $50,000 from the 2017-18 Board of Education year-end balance to Munis account 430-20000-49510-00006 toward turf field replacement, with the remainder subject to a final audit placed in the capital reserve account as per the original letter dated September 20, 2018 from the Board of Education Chairperson David Lawson.
So I'd like to...
Second.
Thank you. So I'd like to briefly state I did speak with our finance director, Greg Ossipoff. as we are putting in the motion, that it's subject to the final audit. So what happens is once the audit comes back, if the funds are there per the audit, then we bring this motion back as we have in the past. If the audit is different and the funds are not there, obviously this motion really holds no water. So Greg Ossipoff agreed that we could go forward with this motion as the finance director. So does anybody have any other?
Just a comment, you know, I was a strong supporter of this project, but I publicly stated in front of about 500 people that I was very concerned about future maintenance and replacement costs and a lockbox, which I had said, and I was quoted in the paper on, a lockbox to make sure that funds that go into this can't come out of this. This is a massive investment. It's bringing a lot of awareness to our town. A lot of people are coming here to play. We're hosting tournaments. The band is not crawling around the parking lot every week. The kids can play. The money has got to stay in this, and any other monies that go into this account need to stay there so we can keep this field in the pristine condition that it is now. So, and the track is unbelievable. I've seen night games there. I've seen track meets go on. My daughter's out on those fields with the cheerleaders. It's an amazing facility, but let's not let any deterioration come to this, to this property as the years go on without the proper money to fix it and maintain it and replace it. But thank you. I'm glad it's on the agenda.
I assume the intent of this is to build a fund so that when it comes to the time, we got it. It's in the lockbox.
In the lockbox.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
And just to tag team, obviously I worked on this along with Mayor Bass and a lot of other people, hard work. Just to stipulate, the field would have probably needed $400,000 from the BOE just to fix it, whether it was the track, the lights, and whatever. So that was taken out of the 3.7. We also redid the lights, which were $77 an hour to run each field. They're now $18 an hour to run each field. Like Tom had said, I witnessed the band that had a thing a couple weeks ago. Tremendous success. They got to be on both fields. People were there. I've talked to A.D. Lipinski. There hasn't been one canceled game since the field's been, other than just the lightning they had to go inside. That's never happened before. They had 8 inches of rain in one storm in 2 hours, and they went back and they played on the field. They play in rain now. The freshmen get to play. The other fields get to rest. And I know, like the back of my hand, how much this is going to cost to replace. It's $4.50 a square foot at the time. One north field is 80,000 square feet, and the other one's 100,000 square feet. So it's about, right now to today, maybe 850 to replace both. You never have to replace them both because they don't get pretty much worn at the same time. Maybe 10 to 12 years. I think this is an excellent idea. I think maybe in the future we could allocate maybe some funds toward the waste management to help even further that down the line. So when it comes to the time, we might not have it all, but we'll have 60 or 70%. So I think this is an excellent idea, and we talked about it. The Boston Facilities is charging the youth, so that's going into the kitty as well. Yes, so there's the field's been rented out by outside teams and sport teams. That's going in. So I know Facilities has a lockbox on this, and I've asked Mayor Bass to follow up. Maybe we can find out what's in there, and then maybe every year we could look to see what's in there, and then if we could add anything into there, help offset the cost. So I think it's a great idea.
Mike?
No.
So I would like to see an accounting of what the balance is in the lockbox
Yes.
based upon the rental income. Could we get that
Pete's
for
going to notify Facilities.
Yeah, we'd all like to know.
the next financial review? from our
The following
finance director?
commercial was brought to you by.
Yeah, it's something that was deep into my heart, and I'm very grateful
Still
that the
there.
town passed it, and it's been an excellent idea. It's brought in a lot of people, and even Mr. Esposito, that he talked about. People come from other towns and going, "Wow, you guys did it right. What a field! It's better than any other field in Connecticut in high school."
What a sense of pride.
And I can't say enough about it. Obviously, I'm biased, but we've come from here to here now. When people want to come here now and watch any kind of sport or band, and the band is probably the most dedicated sports, and I call them a sports thing, by far more than baseball, football. Those guys are out there. Those kids are out there 8-10 hours. Those parents are picking them up, putting them on buses, traveling all over the place. Unlike any other sport here,
So I give
All year round.
I commend the band as well, and I never knew the hard work until you see 20 band out there from all over Connecticut out there, and those kids. Yeah.
Right.
All right, my commercial's over. Thank you, Mr. Mullen.
We got the Giants on our now.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Mayor.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thank you.
Mayor, I think.